Hi, this is Pre-Algebra, section 10-7. We're studying powers of monomials. My name is Mr. Rupp, and in this video I will show you how to calculate, evaluate, and simplify monomials using the concepts of power of a power and power of a product. We'll also review the rules of exponents. By the end of the video, you should be able to evaluate and simplify monomials using all the rules and concepts of exponents and solve real-world problems using these techniques. Let's get started. All right, this is 10-7, powers of monomials. Okay, if you look here on the left, up at the top, we have something that I've copied from the book, and it's talking about raising a number that's raised to a power to another power. Okay, so if you look, you have 6 to the 4th in parentheses, and that quantity is raised to the 5th power. That means that 6 to the 4th is multiplied together 5 times, just like the exponent 5. So we've learned from the product of powers, the previous section, multiplying monomials, that if you have a series of them like that, you add the powers, the exponents. It's 6 to the 4 plus 4 plus 4, and that's 5 times, okay? Well, that's 6 to the 20th, right? Okay, so that leads us then to a key concept. Yay, key concepts! Okay, and that is the power of a power. And down here, you have it, power of a power, and to find the power of a power, multiply the exponents. So if you have 5 squared and you want to raise that quantity to the 3rd power, then that becomes 5 to the 2 times 3, or 5 to the 6th. Okay? Let's look over here, maybe another example. If you had 3 to the 6th power and you wanted to square that, okay? Well, this becomes 3 to the 6th times 2, or 3 to the 12th. Well then, look down here and you find the power of a power, example 1, and we are going to do him on page 555. And it says simplify 8 to the 4th, and you're raising that to the 3rd power. Okay, well, this really isn't that hard. Okay, 8 to the 4th raised to the 3rd power is 8 to the 4 times 3, or 8 to the 12th. Okay, not difficult. Okay, the next one, pause the video, try it for yourself, okay? Alright, we're back, and let's see what you've got. So k to the 7th, that quantity raised to the 5th. Okay, so here's k to the 7th, that quantity raised to the 5th is k to the 7 times 5, which is k to the 35th. It doesn't matter that this is a variable, whereas the example before was a number. It's still treated the same way. It still works the same way, okay? So this is called the power of a power, all right? Moving on. Now we come to the second part of this, which is 3a to the 4th, that quantity raised to the 5th power. Well, then that means that it's 3a to the 4th, and all of that multiplied together 5 times, because that's what the exponent means. It multiplies the base together 5 times. The base is whatever is inside these parentheses right here. Okay? So now we look at this, and we've got all of these factors right here that are all being multiplied together. Well, math allows you to pull and separate these apart. So we're going to pull all of the 3's apart and put them together. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to take all the A4s and we're going to put those together, and there's 5 of those. Okay? Well, if you have 3 multiplied together 5 times, that's 3 to the 5th power. Times, now you have a to the 4th multiplied together 5 times. That's a to the 4th quantity raised to the 5th power. Well, 3 to the 5th power, whip out your calculator, 243. Okay, times a to the 4 times 5, the 20th. So combining these together, 243 a to the 20th. Okay. So this expression, a to the 4th raised to the 5th, is an application of our powers to powers. All right? A power of a power. That's what we just learned. So using this whole method here, now what we have is another key concept. Yay, key concepts. And this is called power of a product. It's to find the power of a product, find the power of each factor, and multiply. Okay, so here's the example they have. 6x squared, that quantity, raised to the 3rd power. And that will break down into the 6 by itself, raised to the 3rd power, times the variable quantity, x squared, that raised to the 3rd power. Or 6 to the 3rd is 216, x to the 2 times 3, which is x to the 6th. All right? Let's do our own example real quick, okay? What if we had 4 z to the 3rd power? And what we want to do is we want to square that. Something that's not very difficult, all right? So again, we take our numerical part and we do it by ourselves, or do it by itself. So that's 4 squared times, and now we have the variable part, z to the 3rd. So z to the 3rd times 2 would be z to the 6th. So this answer would be 16 z to the 6th. All right. So let's do an example on our own here. And this is finding the power of a product. Example 3 on page 556. Well, how about we change pen colors? Right. So we have the quantity 4p cubed to the 4th. All right. Well, we know now that we can take the numerical part of this, the 4, and raise it to the 4th by itself. And if you don't understand how you can do that, scroll back up or reverse in the video, okay, a minute or two, and go back over the beginning of this page 2, this part 2 here. So, back to our problem. 4 to the 4th power times, now this is the variable part, p to the 3 times 4, or p12. Okay, so that leaves us 4 to the 4th power, which is 256. Okay, so we have 256 p to the 12th. All right, see, it's not that difficult. All right, this section is, this part of it is fairly straightforward. Pause the video. Okay, and give this one, example 4, a try on your own. Okay. Okay, we're back. Hopefully you did pause the video, gave it a shot on your own. But if you're not feeling that adventurous, let's do it together ourselves. So we have the quantity negative 2m to the 7th, n to the 6th, and all of that raised to the 5th power. All right, so now this does involve something a little tricky, but not terribly so. Let's look at our numbers first. Here is a 2, and it has a negative sign in front of it, and it's being raised to the 5th power. Okay, what you need to understand is that it is negative 2 that is being raised to the 5th power. All right, this guy right here is completely different than him. Okay, this is negative the quantity 2 to the 5th. This will end up being a negative number. Okay, now this will end up being a negative number too. And in this case, it happens to work out because the exponents are odd. If you recall, if you raise a negative quantity to an odd power, then your answer will be negative. Okay? Let's diverge for a second and cover this. If you had negative 2 and you squared that, that would become negative 2 times negative 2, or a positive 4. If you had negative 2 raised to the 3rd power, you'd have negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 would be positive 4, but then times negative 2 gives you negative 8. So any negative number you raise to the odd power is going to end up negative itself. So here, this and this will turn out the same. Now, if the exponent were positive, then they would be very different. So it is a good habit to get into the it's a good habit to get into to write them like this, okay? Like this guy, and not this guy if what you see is this over here. So, long story short, negative 2 raised to the 5th power times, we have m, and I'm going to write this out, m to the 7 times 5, because that's what we just learned, times n to the 6th times 5. All right. So 2 to the 5th is 32, and that'll be negative 32. M, 7 times 5 is 35. N, 6 times 5 is 30. Okay. Just like that. Moving on. So now what we're doing is we're going to work on a real world example. They call this real world because this is a real kind of problem as opposed to just a theoretical problem. Geometry. Express the area of the square as a monomial. Okay. First of all, what's the area of a rectangle? The area of a rectangle is length times width, correct? But you've only got one number here. The key to this is right here, the word square. That means that all of these sides are the exact same length as this side right here. So that means that the area here is equal to side times side, which is equal to side squared. Well, the side is 7a to the 4th b, so we have area is equal to 7a to the 4th b squared. And so we break this out again. Here is 7 squared times a to the 4 times 2 times b. What is b? What's the exponent on b? You should know by now, right? It's a 1. 1 times 2. So 7 squared is 49. A to the 4 times 2 is a to the 8th. B to the 1 times 2 is b squared. And whatever units they are, those units are squared. Just like that. Nothing too difficult, frankly. Okay. Okay. Thank you for watching the video to the end. I appreciate it. You get golf ball head as a reward. Yay! Okay. If you can, comment on it. Like it if you want. And I will see you next time. Bye.